Hospital. Glad to have back emergency services physician, Dr. Alan Lazzara. Alan, welcome back.
Hey Bart, thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
We've got to know Alan, Dr. Lazzara, really well during the pandemic. But, you know, health is ongoing. That's a lifelong concern for everyone.
Yeah, it never goes away.
And with the seasons come new concerns, and next week, we think it will be 80 degrees.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, we are too. So with summer weather comes some potential dangers outside.
Yeah, stuff that we all encounter. So I thought today would be a good idea to talk about tick-related illnesses and tick-related exposures, because it's a pretty outdoor community, and a lot of us are spending time outside with our dogs, and there's a burgeoning tick population because of milder winters and larger food source with all the acorns and whatnot that drop cyclically, and so there's more mice, and the mice become like a food reservoir for the ticks, and then there's more ticks in the summertime. So it's supposed to be one of the worst years that we've had in a while.
Well, last week the MDHHS issued a tick and Lyme disease warning.
Sure.
Because the cases are way up.
Mm-hmm.
Last year in Michigan, 1,200 people got an illness from ticks.
Yeah, whether or not it's just Lyme or it was another illness related.
Didn't say.
Ticks are a pretty generous host. They can transmit viruses, parasites, bacterial infections. The one we're most familiar with is Lyme disease, I think publicly, and that's the one we're most probably fearful of. But there are a variety of other ones that occur mainly in the southern United States, southeastern, but I wouldn't say we're an endemic area, but we're pretty close to it. We border on it. So most of Lyme is endemic in the northeastern kind of peninsula of the United States, and then the upper Midwest. This is a map from the CDC. With all the purple dots are cases of Lyme.
Another reason not to go to Jersey.
Yeah, they have apparently a lot of black bears and a lot of beautiful forests there, but yes, there is a lot of Lyme disease in the Northeast. But in the southeastern and southwestern Lower Peninsula here, we do have cases. And so, you know, when we talk about how to diagnose this, we have to have a high index of suspicion when we're, you know, dealing with somebody who may not remember a tick bite. People can get these rashes and this illness from, and not even remember having had a tick bite. Up to 30 to 50% of people.
So do all ticks have some sort of danger?
No, not all ticks. It depends if they're harboring that virus or bacteria, and they transmit it with the bite. And typically for Lyme disease, and this is a really important point, it takes time for them to transmit the spirochete or bacteria into your body. So usually 36 to 48 hours, so about a little under 2 days, is when we worry that the bacteria has been transmitted. So, you know, if you've had a tick on you and you've been outside and you catch it right away, generally you're going to be fine. There are some illnesses that we typically don't see in this area. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, which is weirdly named because it's actually more in the southeast, that can transmit in about 2 hours of time. And that's a really bad but rare bacterial infection.
So if you take a shower,
yeah,
after you come in from mowing the lawn or whatever, is that going to be enough to get rid of whatever?
I would say that's a good idea, yeah. So generally, if you can, obviously you can't do that if you're camping, but within 2 hours of being outside, taking a shower, and then doing a tick check, which can be a fun activity depending on who you're doing it with. But, you know, doing a tick check in a brightly lit area. The main areas that ticks like to be is, a lot of us know this, where they like to be in the warm, dark areas. So, you know, where your socks meet your ankles, your belt line, your armpits, behind your hairline. We see it a lot in kids in their lower neck because, you know, they've got lots of hair and ticks like to climb up on their neck.
What are the symptoms? How do you know if you have a tick bite and that you should start to do a tick check on aisle 3?
So I would do a tick check, and we teach our kids this, that you do a tick check after being outside at any point, unless you're in some kind of manicured environment, like I was just on the campus of MSU. There's probably not a whole lot of ticks up on the MSU campus rolling around. But we took a walk in Manchester or Monroe, and we were walking down the country road with the dogs, and we got back, we had 7 ticks on the little dog. Yeah. But she was walking in the tall grass, you know, so that's where they like to hide, and they do this like seeking behavior where they stand on the grass. And ticks are pretty amazing but terrible little creatures. They can, you know, live without feeding for up to 2 years, and they sense carbon dioxide and odors and shadows, and that's what they go towards and try and latch onto whatever walks by. So I think another good point, a lot of us are dog owners, make sure you check your dogs, because if your dog sleeps in your room or your bed, then they're a nice little transportation vehicle to your bed. Yeah, so you should check your dogs and get them vaccinated. Yeah. But to answer your original question, when should you be concerned? So if you find a tick that's been on you and it's all swollen up with blood, so if it's engorged, that suggests that the tick's been on long enough that it could transmit something. So if you have an engorged tick, pull it off, come to the ER, your primary care doctor, or an urgent care, and they generally will give you a prophylactic antibiotic dose of doxycycline, one-time dose. If you notice a tick's been on you for 2 days, and whether or not it's engorged, you say, oh, I was hiking and this is probably from 2 days ago, same thing. Go get a prophylactic dose or preventative dose. Typically the symptoms that we see, I like to think of it kind of like Tex-Mex food, you know, it's all very similar. You know, they present with fever, body aches, just not feeling well. We call it malaise. You know, it's like a burrito. It's
not all Tex-Mex.
No, it's not. No. It's, you know, but you know, a burrito is, you know, tortilla, cheese, meat, vegetables, and all these like tick-related illnesses have similar flu-like symptoms without the cough and runny nose. So if you see somebody I tell my residents, you see somebody in the summertime or spring, and they look like they got the flu, but they don't have the flu, think about a tick-related illness.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but what you can look for, we have, I don't know if we have a picture of it, but some rashes that can occur.
Great. Someone brought me some pictures of rashes yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I wish I had them.
That's a fun thing to do at a party. Look at my rash. But there's a rash called erythema migrans, and it's a red circle with a central clearing. And that can occur in about 25 to 75% of people who get Lyme. But it doesn't always occur. You know, you have those big wide gaps. It means it's not happening every time. And a lot of people don't even remember a tick bite, you know, up to half.
You can't feel it?
I generally feel them. Personally, I generally feel them more than I see them when I'm searching for them. But you don't feel their bite. No, they're
not like a mosquito.
No, they have and some ticks have an anesthetic in their saliva that prevents you from feeling or noticing them. Yeah. They're trying to develop a vaccine, actually. This is great. They're trying to develop a vaccine that...
Oh, well, people won't want the vaccine.
Well, I might, because I'm outside
a
lot.
would.
But,
I would do the vaccine.
But so it's an ingenious thing. They're trying to make a vaccine that will show your body the tick's saliva, and you make an allergic, like, itchy reaction to it. So if you get a tick bite, it starts itching. Oop, there's the tick. Flick it off, and then you don't have time to get the illness, which I think is ingenious.
Yeah.
So instead of getting vaccines for Lyme and anaplasmosis and Rocky Mountain spotted fever, you just get a vaccine to tick saliva, and then you're alerted to being bitten.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, super smart.
Let's call it Univax.
Yeah, or TikTok or something.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's our TikTok.
All right. So getting the antibiotic like right away, will that prevent?
Yeah,
getting from Lyme disease?
The oral dose of doxycycline or amoxicillin does prevent the transmission of Lyme disease very effectively, but it's a time-related thing. You know, you don't want to show up. You would like to avoid showing up when you're already ill, but even then, if you come in early, antibiotics are generally very effective. With Lyme, there are different stages. People can have that early localized reaction that occurs over days to weeks, where they get that bullseye rash and lymph nodes enlarge. And then you can have a disseminated infection. That's when things start getting really interesting and unfortunate, where people can have nerve palsies, like half their face will be droopy, or they'll have a heart block where their heart will beat funny. They can have general symptoms like sore throat, fatigue. And then the late stages, weeks to months later, people can have neurological disorders, like they have periods of amnesia, or they have stroke-like symptoms. They have nerve problems where things go numb and feel very odd. So it's a serious and bad problem. And although we're not an endemic area per se, I still think it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be getting better anytime soon. So I think we should all be aware of this, and it'll be helpful.
Yeah, it could happen.
For sure. Yeah, I know at least 2 or 3 people personally that have had Lyme.
I do too.
Yeah, so it's not completely rare.
And I know one person in that third late stage. It's debilitating.
It can be debilitating, absolutely. Yeah, chronic Lyme is it's a hard to diagnose phenomenon. There's a lot of other things that people can have, but it's a legit entity, and it's kind of a diagnosis of exclusion after you rule out all these other things. But it's like everything in medicine: an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So one of the things I like to do with my kids, tell my kids, when we're walking outside. Tuck your socks into your pants, wear the DEET, wear light colored clothing, and then mainly the tick check after being outside. Every night in the summertime is prime time for doing a tick check. Yeah.
Tick check.
So
do it at the ice cream stand. It's a reward.
Yeah.
If you do the tick check, we'll go get ice cream.
Sure. Yeah.
And do you have a new? You're so busy as it is, but now you're teaching at MSU. I understand.
Oh, that's an overstatement. I got invited to do or I invited myself, I think is more correct, to do a lecture about ticks and tick-borne illnesses and intraosseous needles that we use pre-hospital and in the department. So, the med students, we want more more MSU med students to come work at Henry Ford Jackson, be residents there, and so. A great way for us to get them to come visit with us is to go to them and introduce ourselves and say, hey, we have a great program, which I think we have an outstanding program. We have very invested faculty. We have wonderful residents that they work very hard and truly care about, our patients and their education. They take their job very seriously. So that's the kind of responsible young people we want. And, so we're trying to do some outreach and
Great. Well, we're very lucky to have that here in Jackson, and thanks for encouraging future docs to come hang here.
Yeah, we hope so.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you very much.
The world's outdoor emergency medicine expert from Henry Ford Jackson Hospital, Dr. Alan Lazzara.
That's an overstatement.